Recorded. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to line the cars up, um, line the cars up side by side. Tonight on the Josh Nolan and Oliver S. Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube, we have legendary IMC modified driver Jay Steffens on the show. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Hey, guys, good to be here, Josh. Thank you.
Yes. So, Jay, how did you end up getting into this awesome sport?
Uh, I raced bicycles when I was a kid, and I started working for the railroad, Union Pacific, and they said you're going to have Wednesdays and Thursdays off, and so I couldn't race bicycles, and I had an opportunity to. I went to work, and guy goes, "Hey, I got an old stock car. I'll sell you for $400." And another guy goes, "I got a trailer and an old 283 headed 400. I'll sell you for 1,200." And next thing you know, about $2,500 later, I'm racing the next year. And I did that for 25 years. So
Okay. So, Jay, did you set some goals when you first started racing?
I didn't know nothing. I knew nothing. I went to sleep thinking about it. I dreamed about it. I woke up and I worked on it. And that first year, I had a guy that helped me. And every time we were doing something on that old piece of junk car, he just kept saying, "It ain't NASA. It ain't rocket science." And I just knew I wanted to go race. And that was it. My wife took me out to the races. And I thought, wow, I could probably do this. And that's when it started. And we just basically got surrounded ourselves with different people that we thought were smarter than us, and eventually bought a car and wrecked it, bought another car, wrecked it, and got better and better cars, and then finally started building our own cars, and that was pretty much what we where our racing went, was just running our own stuff. So
Okay. So, Jay, did you achieve some of your goals in racing?
uh
I
uh
can't hear you, Jay.
we
Good.
I was oh are you can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes.
I'm sorry about that. Um so I don't know if I really had a lot of goals. I mean, it was just, I used to pray for safety, honestly, for myself, for my competitors, just to go have fun. Um, when I first started, I didn't, there was like pools at work to see how many laps I'd make before I spun out or went flying off the track. And it wasn't until we finally won a race. After we won a race, we won three in a row. And, then after that, I said, like, I guess, we were points chasers. And I was looking back on a resume I made here the other day. And we won 7 track championships and I believe 37 sanctioned wins. And we had one non-sanctioned 1,000 to win topless race. And so that was, I'd say you always want more after you get that taste, but all in all, I was pretty happy with what we did. Probably one of the goals, I built race cars for Dirt Boss chassis, and before that, I built cars for Big Dog chassis. And honestly, when I started building those cars, I had a goal to build 100 cars, and I think we got to about 165 with Big Dog, and the economy kind of took its course and that went away, and then I went to work for Dirt Boss, and the last car off the jig was our 45th car, and that's in the garage. So
Okay. So, Jay, what was it like to win the championship your 25th season at Lincoln Speedway?
it was good. It we went out a winner. um the points deal, it's tough because you can't miss a night. You really, you got to be committed. You can't have bad nights. Usually it comes down to The one year it come down to a tie. Um, and it was like whoever did the best that last night, was the champion. So it's rewarding. I don't know. At the end of the day, like IMCA, there's some nice accolades. You usually get a little more money for the points. You get a nice plaque. You get a jacket. Um, I don't know. It's fun. It's probably it's kind of like I remember it was Matt Kenseth that didn't win any races and won the track or the NASCAR championship. And I don't know whether I'd want to win the big picture or I'd want to win more races. But like I say, at the end of the day, we won 7 track championships and 30 some races.
Very
So,
cool. Very cool. So, what is it like to have your son follow in your racing footsteps?
it's great. We all the years we raced, he's my youngest, and his name's Aiden Steffens, and he raced go-karts from I don't know 7 or 8 years old, and so he showed a lot of promise with that, and we went from kind of the local racing to chasing the Maxis Midwest series, and so we kind of had a goal because he was showing promise and he was winning races, and so when he turned 16, my 25th season he was 15, I believe, or 14, and then we took a year off. I built a chassis for my 25th season, and then we spent a year chasing go karts really hard and heavy, and then for his 16th birthday, he went up to the big cars, which was my 25th anniversary car. That was his rookie season car. So then this will be, I believe, his 5th season coming up, 4th or 5th. But I enjoy it. I like watching him race. We still spend money. I paid Harris Auto Racing this morning for some stuff, and he's got a job, so he pays for it, and together we're a team, and I enjoy the success that he has, and I feel like I'm a big part of that. They'll say, hey, are you still racing? And I'm like, yeah, I'm still racing. I'm just not driving. So, talking to you, talking to people on the phone about setups, sitting in the garage, working on the car. I really enjoy that. The driving side of it, I did it for 25 years, and, people say, oh, do you want to race again? And maybe, but at this point, I just really enjoy watching my kid race and being, that guy that helps him. We got voted at the Dawson County Raceway in Lexington, Nebraska. We got voted as like a crew chief of the year guy. You pick
Okay.
crew, yeah. So that was kind of neat. We hollered each other a little bit, but it's all in passion, and it's all to try to be a better team. Sometimes I probably yell and scream too much, but at the end of the day, he knows I'm his biggest cheerleader, and we try to, live and die as a team.
So, Jay, what is your most memorable run out of your racing career?
Uh, maybe making the Super Nationals one year. I was lucky enough to make the Race of Champions back when there was they only qualified 12 cars, and then in man, I don't know, 2012, 2013, somewhere in there, uh, we made the Super Nationals, and we did okay. Was moving forward and kind of got spun out, but we finished, and that's probably one of the biggest probably accomplishments is just making that show.
So, how do you, okay, when you guys are, win races, how do you guys celebrate your victories?
How do we celebrate a victory? I don't know. It is it when you win, a few more people stop by and say, "Hey, good job." Uh, but honestly, we used to race 3 nights a week, 15, 16 nights at each track. And you win on Friday, you got to go home and work on it and go race the next night. So sometimes there's not a lot of, maybe on the drive home, it's there's a little more pep in your step when you win. There's a little more money, if you had $350, $400, maybe $500 to win versus that $50 thanks for coming check. So sometimes you're racing for a little more money that lets you go buy another tire. When I won 3 races in a row when I first started, I'd raced for I don't remember how many years, but it was when we finally won. I remember after winning the third Saturday night in a row, I went down to Sears and I bought me a really nice set of wrenches, and still got them. That was my splurge or whatever to me. So simple things like that, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got to splurge a little bit. So what does a normal race weekend look like for you guys?
Well, we try to show up prepared. They always say races are won in the garage, and I'd rather be late and be there prepared. So you know, usually it's getting the car ready and showing up and just you know deciding on if we're gonna make any changes and just debating on gears and depending on the track we're going to. If it's something local, a lot of times we don't hot lap. Um, if it's something new, and I'm talking about now with my kid, when I was racing, after I'd done it for quite a few years, I hardly ever hot lapped. I just never felt like I learned anything in hot laps. And so, there was, I don't know if we had race day rituals. We never ate chicken. We never had anything green. We never had a number you could read upside down. There was no popcorn in the pits. Stupid stuff like that. But it was honestly, times where if I did good, I'd take that set of tires off and I'd save them for that next race. But um, I don't know. You just kind of go to the races and whatever's thrown at you, you try to deal with it. We always had a trailer full of parts, and that was one thing I always tried to pride myself in was if somebody needed a part or I could help a guy out, whether it was help with the setup. If I had some weird part, I've always been one to carry the strangest, weirdest spare parts. If it's something that you just knew could break and nobody had, I always tried to pride myself in having that part on the trailer. So
So Jay, who helped you get where you are in racing as a driver?
uh my mother and father-in-law were really good to me. My wife, Bobby, she supported our racing career the whole time. My good friends Bob and Cindy Johnson, they helped us with engines a lot, which was awesome. There's Bob built a lot of our engines, and then when we went crate racing, he bought our first crate motor, and we had some good pit crew guys over the years, and we've had different sponsors that just maybe they didn't offer us cash, but we maybe it was Kevin Way Trucking still helps my son. He helps us buy fuel. We had Randy Ward for a long time, Alfred Ward and son. We back in the day, I mean, we had Budweiser for a sponsor, local brewery distributor. We had Coors Light. Just I was lucky enough, like I said, to build race cars with Gerald Russell, with the big dog chassis, and then later on, Doug Pierman and Charlie Brown building the Dirt Boss chassis. So a lot of times we could, even now they sponsor our car, and it's not that they give us money, but yet if we tear something up, we can use the shop and we can fix stuff and use the bender and the notcher and get our stuff going again. A lot of product sponsors. I always said I never really needed anything for free, but if I could get a deal, that'd be great. A lot of the parts that we use today, like Weir's Machine or BSB, Total Power batteries, dynamic drive lines. RS Customs is probably one of our biggest sponsors today. He builds custom shocks, and we buy a lot of parts through him. And a lot of the stuff that I had for sponsors, a lot of people always said, they go, how do you get a sponsor? And I said, well, really the sponsor needs to be your friend. And all the people that have ever sponsored my race car have always just been good friends that, had a business or something. And a lot of times, like I say, it wasn't really that we were looking for a dollar bill, but maybe help with a tire or help with a barrel of fuel. Or, sometimes when you get a $500 sponsor, you think, well, that's not a lot of money, but like when we were getting ready to go to Boone every year, man, $500 is big, to help, get you there and stuff like that. So
Oh
definitely,
yeah, definitely.
just help.
So does race weekends ever get stressful for you guys?
I think so. You know, Probably once you're there, I even right now, it's wintertime, and I feel like, stress today is just not having enough money to do what you want. It's not having a stack of tires. We started the season out last year. One of our sponsors, Colton Osborne, him and Steve Aiken, they give us like 16, 18 used tires, and that's what we started the season with, because we really couldn't afford to buy new tires. We bought a few, but like just you know, I'd say that's the biggest stress, is just not being able sometimes to do it, 100% right. Like right now, the last race of the season last year, we burned up an axle, the bearings on the trailer, and our trailer is actually getting repaired by one of our sponsors, Outlaw Trailer Repairs. Doug Kohler, he made me a deal. He said, hey, we'll put some new axles underneath this old trailer, and I'll you buy them, and I'll eat the labor for sponsorship. And so, it's still a $2,000 deal, and
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, our trailer will be tuned up and ready to go for another year of racing. So, but yeah, I don't stress as far as like the day of. I don't know, because I don't think because to me, like, this is our stress reliever. When I was racing, I think a lot of guys will say that once you put the helmet on, you get to kind of block out life, and you get to go racing, and I know, like, when we're at the track, we try to put the cell phone down. We try to not look at social media. We just try to concentrate on what we're doing for that 3 or 4 hours. And that's probably the most rewarding aspect of race day, is kind of putting the rest of the world behind you, and just enjoying that time, with friends and family, and the competition of the race.
Okay. So have you learned a lot as a driver since you started racing?
What's that?
Have you learned a lot? Have you learned a lot as a driver since you started racing?
You know what? Well, like I said, when I first started, I didn't know nothing. I was told to take a socket and put it on a jack and put it underneath the rear end and jack the car up, and the right rear was supposed to come off the ground before the left rear, and I was lucky enough to go to a couple of the racing schools. Mark Bush Racing. I've been to Bob Harris's chassis school. And then I've surrounded myself with different people over the years that knew more than me. Joey DeBoer used to help Jay Notaboom. I used to just pick his brain like crazy. When my kids started racing big time, Ryan McDaniel out in California, Ryan, he answered every one of my text messages, and I could call him, and I could, some of the basics of theory, like the left front spring is corner entry, the just little things about weight percentages and stuff. Some of that stuff, it doesn't change from year to year. It's going to be basic knowledge, and I've tried to make sure that I write it down. I read a lot. I watch videos. And then, like I said, if I've got a question, I try to seek people out that are smarter than me, and I try to go after that question and get a good answer. So,
Yeah. So, Jay, how do you prepare yourself to get in behind the wheel of a race car?
how do you prepare yourself? Uh, you know, Probably, I thought about this the other day. We were saying like, oh, hey, do you gamble? And I said, man, it's a gamble every time you go into the first corner on the first lap. So, preparing yourself I think it's kind of like having faith in your car, having faith in your ability. We had a promoter, Alan Weisman, that used to say, I'll probably ruin how he said it, but it was, you drive your car to its capability and you drive to your ability. So if you don't overdrive your car and you don't overdrive your talent, you're going to have success. And, like for me, like on the racetrack, whenever I was around somebody, I always tried to pay attention to their tires. If somebody was in front of me, if their tires were going straight, I knew they were going straight. If their tires were turned way to the left or way to the right, there's a good chance that they're going to, something's going to happen and they're not going to keep going forward. I tried to always make sure, because the way our points average, we usually started 10th, 11th, 12th. So I made sure I always paid attention to the leaders, getting into the first corner. If the leader makes it through the corner and second, third, fourth, then you're going to not going to wreck. You're not going to run into the guy. You're not going to drive, over your air cleaner or, just past your front bumper. My buddy Bob that helped me with my engines all them years, a lot of times he wouldn't go with us out of town, and you never wanted to call and tell him, hey, I wrecked on the first lap. You just, I see that in my boy. He doesn't usually use the front bumper. He's smart enough to see what's happening in front of him and avoid the wrecks. And that's probably one of the biggest things, is we're trying to go racing, tonight. We're trying to go racing tomorrow night. We're trying to go racing next week. So kind of like when you're preparing for a race, you just really, you're trying to, not be part of the wreck, just so you can work on the car and try to make it better. Granted, you're going to get in wrecks, but you hope it's not something that just totals out the car.
Yeah. So, what does a normal day at the race shop look like for you guys?
A normal day, well, we work, so a lot of times, like if we race Sunday, we try to get the car washed up Monday. If we don't race Sunday, we try to do it, Sunday, but usually Monday's a race wash day. And really, honestly, if we can get the car out of the trailer and into the garage with it washed up and on the jack stands, then it's just a matter of tinkering on it during the week. And sometimes it feels like that's all you do is work on the race car. But like I say, once race day comes, a lot of times, if we're going out of town somewhere, we might load it the night before, but usually like our local track, it's a couple miles away from home. We'll just load the car when it's, 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon and go to the track. But we try to be, race day, we try to be ready. We try to have tires, Tuesdays, usually we'll have our tires cleaned up and ground and, get the car in the, once it's in the garage, we try to, first thing we do when we bring it in the garage, before we ever jack it up, we always check the toe. We figure we're driving it in, we'll check the toe. We always make sure the carburetor's lubricated. We check the radiator fluid level. So that stuff's done. And then, we'll spray lube everything down and try to get all that done, that first night. And then personally, I like, if we're going to race on a Friday night, I like to be done like Wednesday. Um, Unfortunately, I try to work a little bit of overtime to pay for my racing habits. And I feel like if we can get the car done early in the week, if I get a chance to work some overtime, like Wednesday or Thursday, I can say yes to it because everything's done. So, but there is a lot of times where we're thrashing Saturday morning to get the car done because we screwed off all week, or it was hot and you didn't want to work on the car. There's a lot of times when it gets to be 100 degrees out and you get off work, you don't really want to work on the car, or you run out of time, or you wanted to do something different. And before you know it, you're like, well, I'll do that Saturday morning. And I think sometimes if you're not really trying to put it off, but if if you just work on the car, and that's really what we do. You just keep working on the car. You're always doing something. You're always trying to reinvent the wheel, or you're trying to make sure, sometimes, I don't know. It's weird to think that a bar angle of 5 degrees less or more is the difference between a good car and a bad car. But sometimes I think that's the case, and now everything's kind of changing where you're starting to use load sticks and you're starting to use a spring smasher, and you're really just paying attention to your shocks a little bit more. And so those are the things that we'll do during the week, and then that way, once it comes race day, we're ready to go.
Okay. So Jay, what are your favorite racetracks you guys have been on?
uh Locally, we're out in western Nebraska, and our local track, Lincoln County Raceway, it's a good track. Boone, Iowa, definitely for me was one of my favorite tracks to go to. uh we had our local tracks, McCook, Nebraska, when when the track was prepped right. It was a blast to drive on. Um, but I would say, watching my kid race, Interstate Speedway. We went up there around Sioux Falls, Sioux City, I guess.
Okay.
I always get those up. I thought that was a fun little track to go race at. But definitely Boone, Iowa, has got to be one of the premier tracks. And I'm jealous of those guys that get to race there on Saturday nights, because we only go there once a year. But I'd just have to say Boone probably was one of my favorite. We went on the North Dakota tour, Estevan up there in Canada. That was a
Okay.
really track. I really like that track. I would do that tour to go race that track again. That was I thought was a really nice track. I like, our track, Dawson County Raceway, Lexington, Nebraska. Uh, I always felt like that was home. I could go fast there. I won a lot of races, a lot of track championships there. It's a big circle. It's just a fast, fun track. It's one of the oldest tracks in Nebraska. So that was a fun track. That was probably one of I don't know. Back when we used to hot lap, I used to, we'd hot lap, and I'd say, "Well, we're done." That was about as much fun as we're going to have for the night. So I really probably Boone and Lexington, Nebraska, Dawson County Raceway. Those two tracks probably my two favorites.
Okay. So what are some of your least favorite tracks you've raced on?
Oh man, Doniphan, Nebraska. Back in the day, I Doug Stangy's track. I for some reason I didn't like that track. That track, the seemed like once the dirt dried out, it was just, I don't know if you can have hard dirt, but it always seemed like that dirt was hard. I blew up a motor there once and wrecked a car. I didn't. I-80 was, to me, was a fun track for watching late models and sprint cars, but I wasn't a big fan of that track. Um, but it was a track you needed to go compete at. I wished it was still around, but I don't know. we talk about fun tracks too. Dodge City was a good track I like, down there in Dodge City, Kansas. Half mile tracks, Norton, Kansas. I don't know. It seems like every track I ever blew a motor at, I never wanted to go back. But um, really, most of the tracks, I wouldn't say that I didn't like them, but we they all have their place. Probably back in the day, I could have probably told you I hated a lot more tracks, but I'm trying to say good things.
So, are you guys planning on racing the big special at Clay County Speedway in Fairmont in Spencer, Iowa? I mean,
No, probably not. We've kind of looked at it. To be honest with you, Crawford County Speedway, Harlan,
yeah.
Iowa. We're so far out in western Nebraska. We've got our local tracks, Dawson County Raceway, Lincoln County Raceway, Phillips County in Colorado. We want to try to get to Dodge and race a little bit. Um, like I said, Harlan and in Denison, Iowa, Interstate Speedway, Parks. Was it Park Jefferson?
Okay.
Um, I wish we could have raced Albion, Nebraska. They're not racing modifieds. We race the A mods, just modifieds. But those tracks really are the ones that are on our radar. Some of the other tracks, Marshalltown at the end of the year, they're having a big special. We'll probably race Marshalltown right before Boone. I'd love to be able to sneak over to Boone and race a few more times, but it's tough, with the cost of fuel and stuff. We've got to support our local tracks, and then the Titan Series, I think was what it was called. We tried to want to hit some of those. Those were going to be some 1,000 to win races. Like I say, Dodge City, theirs were paying 1,000 to win. So we wanted to try to go to anywhere that maybe had a 2-day show where we could drive somewhere and race, a Friday and a Saturday, is some of the away from the local stuff, is appealing for us to be able to get, somewhere and get a little more bang for our buck without, spending $500 to drive. This winter, I'd sold some parts to a guy in Montana, and we got encouraged to go west, maybe go up into northern Montana or Wyoming, and maybe out into Montana. But I don't know if that'll happen or not. But it'd be nice. When my boy Aiden, when he first started racing, we tried to go to different tracks. Maybe not race the same track 5 times, but go to 5 different tracks so that at least he could, say we've been there. Like Tiny Lund. I'd always wanted to go to the
Oh
Tiny
yeah.
Lund Memorial in Harlan, and we were lucky enough to go to Tiny. I never got to race it, but we took him to the last one when it was still the big track, and so we haven't been back
Oh
to
yeah.
the small, but doing stuff like that. With the last race of the season, we were lucky enough to race Park Jefferson and then go over there to Crawford County Speedway, and we had a little bit of success over there, and we really want to go back there and race again. And it's a ways for us to drive, but I think as long as we can kind of put our money together and split the cost of the diesel fuel, it's just a matter of a little bit of windshield time, and we can show up and go race and try to compete.
The other thing I was going to ask you too, Jay, is are you guys going to go on that Midwest Madness tour coming up this summer?
I mean, I would like to. I actually have that week's vacation. We were going to do it last year, and without talking politics, our Build Back Better budget just when it got time to actually go do it, we just didn't have the money to really compete at it. But that has been on our goal or our radar to do. If we do it this year, now the problem I'm running into, my son's got a real job, and that real job thinks he needs to work and not have much vacation time. So that's probably where we're going to run into some trouble. Plus, we are trying. Our goal is to do a little bit of USRA racing.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
we bought a spoiler this winter, and we've got a couple of open engines. Our good buddy Doug Pierman, we've got one of his open motors. It's a 410, 3 7/8 stroke. It's nice little Mullen heads engine, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
uh, we'd like to try to do a little bit of USRA, maybe down 81 Speedway. Off-Road Speedway, June 18th, and then Beatrice, June 19th. Those are both USMTS races, and
Okay.
that's the week after. So I think the week before the Midwest Madness. I think it's the week before the Midwest Madness tour, and so we kind of got to like, okay, are we going to do this USMTS stuff? And put our money into that, or are we going to save back and do the Midwest Madness tour? But we kind of really want to try to get our feet wet in the USRA stuff, USMTS stuff. But
Yeah, and something too, Jay. You guys were talking about racing different tracks. There is a track up here that's running USRA. They just started doing it last year. It used to be an IMCA track, but then they also have a USMTS race coming up this year too. Fairmont Raceway in Fairmont, Minnesota is a
yeah,
USRA track.
yeah, definitely, yeah. And like I said, that's a good pull for us. But our goal. I've got about 6 years left of work before I get to retire, which is like, woo,
Yeah,
yay.
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, our that's our end goal is to try to get out and catch some of those races. I mean, it'd be like going to Deer Creek, I think that's got to
Oh
be
yeah,
on the and
yeah.
Fairmont. Actually, check that out. I've watched some YouTube videos of that track, and yeah, it looks like it'd be a lot of fun to go try it.
Exactly. So, Jay, do you guys have a racing page that the racing fans can follow you on?
Oh, not really. Steffens Racing on Facebook. Uh, Aiden Steffens on YouTube. We're I've been on him about trying to do, I watch these YouTube videos. I've been watching your videos, and we've got some really good content, and it's just a matter of trying to edit it and put it out there for people to see. But mostly we did a short track mafia. It was
Okay.
a kind of a signage for a t-shirt, Instagram. um, the kid said he was a big track filler and a short track thriller. So, but we were going to be part of short track mafia. So, but mostly it'd be Steffens Racing on on Facebook, and then like I said, Aiden Steffens, and then I think now I'm just the dad. I'm I'm
Okay.
yeah. I wish I was more, but you know what? I'm enjoying that. I'm a grandpa now, and we've had go karts. We still have a go kart. My grandson's 2 years old, so we're looking forward to the day we get to go kart racing with him. So um, I just
So
really
yeah.
enjoy racing.
So yeah, everybody out there watching this racing show, or going to be watching this racing show, hit up Steffens Racing on Facebook, or go hit up Aiden Steffen Racing on YouTube.
There you go. Appreciate it.
So before I let you go, Jay, do you have any questions you want to ask me? I'm going to turn the mic over to you if you'd like.
When you asked me to do this, I started going back and watching some of your videos, and it's pretty cool. I was surprised when you asked me, like, hey, do you want to be on this? Because I don't what is it? Dog the Bounty Hunter said, it says I'm nobody unless you make me somebody. And so here tonight I get to be somebody again, I guess. But no, I don't know that I really got any questions. I was just excited to talk with you tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, I just we were a track promoter for a couple of years. I built over 200 race cars. My goal was 100. We had track championships, we had wins. I felt like I've given back to the community, the racing community. I've tried to be an ambassador. I've tried to speak good of things. I've tried to be a promoter. Um, you know, this deal here it's tough. There's so much going on in this world today. It used to be, you make when was the Indianapolis 500? Carburetor Day. Uh,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the horse racing. The Kentucky Derby.
Oh yeah.
Monday comes by and you're like, oh wow, the Kentucky Derby was yesterday. And then there was a day gone by where you didn't miss the Kentucky Derby. You didn't
Oh
miss
yeah.
Indianapolis 500. But
Oh
I
yeah.
also, when I was a kid, there was 3 channels on the TV, and um, things were a little simpler. And so today, hopefully, things like this, maybe it gets a person to come out to the races and watch watch a race, because that's what we need. We need people to come out and watch, and we need people to compete, and because it is a great sport. It's
Yes,
you
it
know
is.
I look back on my son when he was little, and his girlfriend and their family. Her name's Allie, and it's Ken and Pam, the mom and dad, and they support my son like he's their son. And when he was little, he was thinking about stagger, and he was thinking about whether or not we were going to run a 13 tooth or a 14 tooth driver on the engine, and I like that. I like the fact that when he was little, his brain was thinking about, you know, caster and camber and the toe, and it just, I don't know, I think it's made him a better person today, because that was what his passion is. And I feel proud to be able to kind of pass that torch to him and let him do his thing with this, and let him have his own success and just be part of it in the background.
But Jay, I would like to thank you for being on our show tonight. It's been our pleasure to sit down and talk to you
You bet, man.
about your awesome racing career, your son's racing career, everything you guys have got going on. Definitely, I would love to have your son on here if we could make that happen. That would be awesome.
Yeah, been here
Yeah.
tonight. He was scared. I think we'll get him on here.
Okay. So Jay, I will let you step out. I will call you and thank you in person here shortly. And thank you very much again for being on board with us tonight.
Thank your audience. Thank you for if you stayed to this long. What is it you want to like, comment, and subscribe?
And subscribe. Right.
Subscribe, definitely
Right.
subscribe.
Right.
What questions could we answer in the comments? Right,
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I'd answer about any question in the comments.
Yes.
All right,
But thank you again, Jay. Definitely I will call you in a little bit to thank you in person.
bye.
Thank you.
You
Bye
bet.
bye.
See ya.
Yep. See ya.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jay Steffens out of the state of Nebraska. I'm on board with us tonight, talking to us about his racing career and his son's racing career. Definitely go check them out. Steffens Racing on Facebook and Aiden Steffen Racing on YouTube. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to give you a little. We would like to thank some sponsors. How's that tonight? So tonight, we'd like to thank our new sponsor, Henning Race Wings. Definitely go hit up Henning Race Wings for all your micro sprint and caged wing, for your caged wing and micro sprint cars. Also like to thank Lotion Tech's account, Dirt Track Race Cars, Dirt Track Race Cars and Company. Go hit up Dirt Track Race Cars and Company, dirtrackracecars.com for all your racing diecast needs. Also, like to thank Brody Manning Motorsports. Um, Brody Manning, one heck of an awesome race car driver. He's also in a band called Guilty as Charged. Definitely go check them out. Also, I'd like to thank New England Hemophilia Association / Walking with Waylon. Waylon Page. Go check Waylon out. Waylon does some pretty awesome adventures. So go check out Waylon Page and New England Hemophilia Association. But if you would like to sponsor our racing show or be on our racing show, feel free to email us at jjnolan151@gmail.com, or you can call or text us at 712-209-7138. But if with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Catch you later on another episode of the Josh Nolan and Oliver S. Full Throttle Racing Show. #1 on YouTube.